الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Good morning. It's time for Understanding Islam, brought to you by the Understanding Islam Dawah Foundation.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. With the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise and all thanks are due to Almighty God, the Lord of all the worlds. I bear witness that there is only one God to be worshipped, the one whom no one has ever seen. And I bear witness that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is the final messenger of God and the seal of all the prophets. I greet you with the greeting to peace, the believing audience, with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace, blessings, and mercy of Almighty God be upon you. I have our good brother here again. I have Imam Sheikh Khalid Harrington. The brother was on, I guess, about a month ago. He's from Chicago. He's here with us. He's going to be with us in Chattanooga for a month or two right now. And I want to give him the Islamic greeting of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah khairan jazah. I appreciate the honor and the privilege of being able to join you again.
Well, yeah, no problem. Good to have you back. I want to make a few announcements before we get into our topic today. I want to announce about our Quran class that we have every Wednesday, that it is on Zoom now. So if you text me your number, I can send you the link. We practically use the same link every week. But if you text me your number, I can send you the link for you to enter the class through Zoom. Our class is every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at 1410 Cemetery Avenue, 1410 Cemetery Avenue. Everyone is welcome. You don't have to be a Muslim to come to the class. You can come to the class, ask questions, listen to our discussion about the Quran. This is every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Also, our Jummah service that we have every week, every Friday, it is at 145. It is 1410 Cemetery Avenue. And anyone need any type of Islamic material from us, any books, Quran, CDs, whatsoever, just send me your number, text me your name, address, and we'll ship it to you free of charge. Or you can go on our website, uidf.org, uidf.org. You can look around on that site. You can order you the Qurans there. We have all of the programs that we've done, at least in 2025, on that program. And you can also listen to our Friday Jummah services from that same website. So hopefully, inshallah, we will see you all. We're going to have some many activities coming up this month that I want to kind of keep you informed about. And some of the people who has been connected with us through this radio program and come to some of our activities, if you like to come to some of our dinners, activities, and things like that, and just keep up with what we're doing in our community, you can send me your number, and I can put you on our texting list. Our texting list go out to our community and those who are involved in our community, so you can keep an update on the activities that we're doing in our community, having dinners, going out in the community, having food giveaways, and many other things that we do. If you'd like to stay informed with that, just send me your cell number, and I will put you on the texting list so you can be involved. We're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have our discussion with Sheikh Khalid Harrington, and our topic today is going to be information versus education.
You are listening to the Understanding Islam Show, sponsored by the Understanding Islam Dawah Foundation. The Understanding Islam Dawah Foundation is a non-profit organization established since 1995. The purpose of the Understanding Islam Dawah Foundation is to provide accurate information about the religion of Islam from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him. The Understanding Islam radio show is hosted by Hamad El Amin and airs every Sunday in Chattanooga, Tennessee and Dalton, Georgia. The Understanding Islam radio show also gives businesses and individuals an opportunity to provide beneficial information to our community by appearing on the Meet Your Muslim Neighbor radio show, also sponsored by the Understanding Islam Dawah Foundation. If you would like a Quran, a copy of a radio show, or any Islamic literature, call 706-459-1010 or email them at understandingislam411@gmail.com. They ship all of their materials to you free of charge. If you would like to attend one of their classes, which are for Muslims and non-Muslims, call 706-459-1010 or email them at understandingislam411@gmail.com. For additional information, visit their website at www.uidf.org. Thank you for listening to the Understanding Islam radio show. Now back to your host, Hamad El Amin.
Assalamu alaikum. May peace and blessing be upon those who follow righteous guidance. We have our brother here, Sheikh Harrington. Again, I'm going to give him the Islamic greeting of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, it's good to have you back. And today is I believe, a very good topic that affects generations to come. And I think people need to know, the difference. And I want you to kind of open up and explain information versus education.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We praise the creator of the universe, the sole and single creator of the universe, and we send peace and blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad. When we're talking about information, information is just exactly what it sounds like. You are just receiving information. You are being informed about something. Now, whether or not you do anything with it, it has any utility to you, any benefit for you, that's a whole nother matter, right? But it's just being informed so that you are now aware. When we're talking about education, education is more of a formalized process. It is a methodical process. And when we're talking about education, we're talking about change. So you might be talking about education, picking up a skill set, or education in a particular field of endeavor. Or you could be talking about education, for example, and this is one of the really big differences between education and information. Education, for us as Muslims, one of the major aspects of education and change, both of them, is the education on how to change ourselves. Right? So that our akhlaq, our character, and the way that we are, who we are and how we are, how we interact with individuals, how we respond, react to situations, right? How we establish our priorities, how we deal with drama, right? The good times, the bad times, the vicissitudes of life, how we challenge, how we face all of these challenges in life. It requires an understanding, and that understanding requires development, and that development requires education. Now, just a quick highlight. So say, for instance, if you have two individuals, one of them is informed about something. So he is given the news, or he is given some information. Okay. Now, does he do anything with it or not? Does it take a lot of time necessarily? For instance, I can inform you of my phone number, right? And I can get that done quick. And whether or not you call me or not is irrelevant. You have been informed. I have informed you. We're done. With education, that's a whole nother matter now, because now we start talking about matters of, for instance, epistemology. What is the methodology of educating? Now we start talking about what goals and objectives are. Now we start talking about, how do we prioritize education? Now consistency in the educational process also becomes a very serious point of conversation as well, especially today with our short attention spans. So information, that's great. Education, that's life-changing.
Where do you think most young people today, what side they fall on versus information versus education? Because you said education is dealing with change.
Yeah, it is very much, it can't be just isolated to information. I think you have to also attach something else with it, emotionalized information. So even if you look at, like, for instance, on social media, in order for you to get, like, whatever followers or likes or views or whatever the case may be, you got to be obnoxious, or you got to be scandalous, talking about scandals, or you got to be, you got to do something that is considered to be like outrageous, out of the box,
right,
in order to be able to get attention, right? To get attention from people. And a lot of time it preys on fears, emotions, etc., right? And there's nothing about education involved here. And a lot of times we see that even with our young people, what's happening, not just with the young people, with society in general, is that everybody is ending up in small pockets. They're segregating. And now we have a form of tribalism that is taking place. So once now we start talking about emotional information, the only ones who actually care about that information are those who are going to be, their emotions are going to be triggered by it. So if I don't already have a inclination or predilection towards that particular group or that tribe and what that ideology that is associated with them, then I don't care. Or I could care less. But if I can go there and I'm going to get that emotional fix, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm game. But the problem is that we're not educated then. We're amped and we're emotional, right? Mm-hmm. And we are receiving information. And we see people regurgitating that information, vomiting up that information. Right. You start talking to them and asking them to see, their ideology or what their thinking is, or even any particular point, and start to see, like, do you yourself understand it?
Right.
I hear you talking about it, but do you yourself understand it? Meaning the foundational dynamics, that the underpinnings of this, understanding. Do you get it? And let's find out. Because if you don't, what are you talking about? And this is a large problem that we have today, because I don't have to, even with education, I don't have to necessarily agree with it, right? Mm-hmm. So say, for instance, you and I, we have different beliefs, and we're going to sit down and engage in dialogue, right, regarding our differences, okay? And we sit down and you educate me about what you believe. And I educate you about what I believe. Now, does that mean that, like, with that education, I have to believe what you believe and you have to believe what I believe? No. Mm-hmm. But now, if you were to ask me, like, okay, well, what does he believe? I can now, well, he's educated me about that. Right. We've sat down, we've had a discussion. And now I am informed and then also educated, meaning I'm not just aware, but now I've got something that I can actually do something with. Meaning when I interact with you, I can now avoid offending you. I can avoid saying something that is incorrect. I can avoid misrepresenting you to other people. Right? Muslims believe, this and that and the other. We were talking earlier, a lot of people think, quote unquote, Orthodox Islam is the same as the Nation of Islam. Right. And these are two totally different things.
Absolutely.
Right? So we want to make sure that education is something that we stay keyed in on as human beings, because in large part, this is what separates us from animals.
That's right. So what do these programs that, like, we're doing this morning, is this information or education?
I would call this information.
Information.
With a sprinkle of education. just a sprinkle. Now, if we start doing this consistently and, with the questions and everything, meaning that we have a starting point. We establish our objectives, and then, methodically, right, we're going to work towards achieving those objectives. Right. Now we're moving more towards education. Right. When we start talking about, people start talking about, changes in their personal lives and their habits and their behavior, right? Now we're talking about education.
And that's why these programs need follow-ups.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's a beautiful start, right? It's a beautiful catalyst. Right. But we've got to move from that point of information to education.
So what negative impacts you might see, give us an example, in society today, if a person just focus on information versus some positive examples if people are more involved in education?
Well, okay, so information, a negative that comes along with information is there's no action necessary with it. Once you've received the information, it's basically a done process at that point. Right. And that's where we fall on our faces. Because, say, for instance, in that same scenario, you and I engage in that dialogue, right? Mm-hmm. And I still engage in the same behavior, offensive behavior, whatever, right? With you, where you've already informed me, you've already tried to educate me, but obviously you just informed me, you didn't educate me. Right? I didn't take it as education. I just took it as information. I didn't do anything with it. Right. I put it in a file, it went in a file cabinet in my head, and that was the end of that. Maybe I can pull it out, extract it at some future point, maybe get benefit in the future. But as of right now, it's just basically a book in the library. Right. Whereas opposed to now, like, if we actually get into the nitty gritty, because one thing is, here's a catch. When you got doctors, right? So when you go to medical school, you graduate and actually become an MD, a medical doctor. But here's the catch. So you've done all the coursework, okay? But are you ready to be a doctor yet? You're not ready to be a doctor. You got to do your residency. You need a mentor. You need some experience. Meaning what? You need hands-on now.
Right.
We've talked about theory. We've done a little bit of, practical stuff, but now like we're talking about the actual grind of being a doctor.
Right.
And now you need that practical real life experience in order to excel in that particular field, okay? Now, you and I as patients, who do we want? Do we want the medical doctor that just came out of the college?
Right.
Or do we want the seasoned veteran who's got the experience, he's got, all the accolades and everything that goes along with being considered to be a not just a professional in his field, but what would you say? Not just a professional, but somebody who is revered in the field itself.
Right. It reminded me like when I was in the military. You have people that's been in the military, old guys, 25, 30 years. And they send along a lieutenant out there who just got out of school.
Butterbar, right?
Yeah, don't know anything. And they want the people to follow this young lieutenant when you got a person here, maybe never been to college, but he got 25 years in experience.
It's funny you mentioned that because I'm a military brat, right? So that's actually the example I wanted to use. That was actually the example I wanted to use. I was like, we stay away from this military stuff.
No, I heard another example too. Like if you have to fly on a plane, would you get someone who got 10 years of knowledge about it, or a person who actually done flew for 30 years?
Yes, sir. But we're dealing with something else now, right? Because at least in all of those examples, those were professionals. The pilot, in all cases, right, whether this the pilot or the military officer or it's the doctor, in all situations, these are professionals in their field. What we're talking about, the difference is experience.
Right.
But now what we're dealing with in society is that the people who are even in the field are not respected themselves. And what I mean by that is in Islam, so now we have a situation where everybody thinks that they know what Islam is and is not.
Right.
Based off of what? And this is my big question.
Right.
You've gotten various forms of information. You haven't validated that information. Is it correct? Is it accurate? So yes, you did receive the information. You assume this was education, even though it was casual, it was random, it was all over the place. It hasn't been verified, it hasn't been validated, right? But just because it is some information that you came across, now you think that this is, you start putting, pieces of this different puzzles, right? Connecting them together, and the picture is monstrous.
Right.
And we see this with the media. We see this within the Muslim community, outside of the Muslim community. We hear this from faith leaders from other faiths, and it's just appalling because in a time where Islam is so very much at the forefront for a variety of reasons, socio-political, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The accurate understanding of Islam is crucial. It is critical. It is key. But those individuals who are experienced and have the knowledge and the ability to be able to accurately represent Islam, their voices are kind of drowned out now by the masses, both Muslim and non-Muslim. So, education needs to be made a priority.
Right.
Because Islam is not just about, Islam in America is not just about a faith or a belief system or a religion that a portion of the society happens to practice.
Right.
It is now very much at the forefront of the socio-political discussion as well. And so therefore, we need to make sure, just like with anything, if we're using terminology, we need to make sure that everybody understands the definition of that terminology. If I use a term and you think it means one thing and I think it means something else, that term no longer has any benefit.
Right.
Because we can't use it to communicate anymore.
Absolutely.
Right? So we want to make sure that Islam, the proper and accurate understanding of Islam, is there and accessible.
Right.
The challenge is how do we get the voices that need to be heard to the forefront, and how do we turn the volume down on all of the misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda, and actually turn the volume up on those individuals that actually could help to bring peace, understanding, reconciliation, and cooperation,
Absolutely.
right, within the Muslim community and the non-Muslim community as well.
Okay, so why don't we, since we're talking about misconceptions, especially about Islam, why don't we open up the lines and let's see if anyone have any question. If you have any question about Islam, misconceptions you might have heard, you might have a relative, a son, a brother, a daughter who is interested in Islam or have accepted Islam recently. If you have a question, then you can call in right now and ask Sheikh Khalid. The number here is 423-642-9393, 423-642-9393.
And on that note, just for all the listeners, because I've been doing this for decades now. I've been blessed to be doing this for decades. And a lot of the challenges that, especially with people who aren't Muslim, they want to ask questions, but they don't want to offend you.
Right.
Right? So I'm here to tell you, you do not have to worry about offending me. In order for you to offend me, I have to allow you to offend me. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is open. As long as you are sincere and you just like, look, I don't know how to ask this, but let me just go ahead and kind of like blurt this out. But I need an answer.
Right.
And there's no problem with that. As long as you're sincere and you're looking for the answer, yeah, we're going to fumble over our own words, and we're human beings. And this is part of dialogue and communication. We don't have any expectations that you need to, mashallah, articulate yourself like a college professor to ask the question.
Right.
I just get it out there. We'll take it from there.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Or if you have a comment, the number here again is 423-642-9393. Some of this misinformation, do you think there's intention behind that?
Of course, some people. There's so many agendas that are out there. And that's fine, because that's humans. And with the selfishness, there's a beautiful statement, that the history of humanity and the situation of humanity in which all of us can understand, can be succinctly described in a sentence. Children are dying.
Children are dying.
Children are dying. When we're talking about all this, like, for instance, the agendas and this and that and the other, right? And we see everything that is going on in the world. You can pick your what flavor of madness that is currently, going on today, that you want to kind of focus on. But at the end of the day, as human beings and as adults and as the caretakers of the earth, that we have to pass it on to the next generation, are we conscious of the fact that every child on the face of this planet is the responsibility of every adult on the face of this planet?
Absolutely.
And when children are hungry and they're dying, and they don't have shelter or clean water or whatever, regardless of what they believe or profess to believe, or people say they believe or want them to believe, the fact that children are dying and children are suffering, that should be priority number one for all of us.
All human beings.
All human beings. But why isn't it? It's an obvious thing, especially for those of us who are parents. We have children, maybe even grandchildren, right? Nieces and nephews and carrying on and whatnot, right? So why isn't that making sure that we take care of our children and we actually pass them a world that is better than the one that we came into? Why isn't that a priority number one? It's because of the selfishness of the human being. And the selfishness leads to all of these agendas and plots and schemes and the disinformation, misinformation, the propaganda, the manipulation. And for the average everyday Joe or Jane, for your average American, our issues are the same.
Right.
Like all the people who plot and scheme, and these are people with money and power or want more money and power. But your average citizen, your average human being, what do we want?
Right.
We want to be able to pay our bills, right? Maybe send our kids to school, to college, right? We want our families to be safe. We want to make sure that we can have some good times with our family. If we have some medical situation, we want to be able to pay our medical bills and take care of our loved ones if they're ill. Right, we want food and a healthy food and water and these types of things, right? Nutrients for our families. We want our communities to be safe and healthy, This is what we all want. I don't care if you're Muslim, Christian, atheist, Jewish, it doesn't matter. We all want those same things fundamentally for our families. And again, the question arises, why aren't we focused on that?
Don't you think the disinformation contribute to dehumanizing some people? Because you said, like, why don't we see all children the same? This disinformation about certain people, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It dehumanizes children and families and different people, ethnicities around the world in our community, where they don't see the value or the equal value in other people's children as they do in their own children.
And that's the manipulation.
Yeah.
That's the manipulation. Because when you start introducing prejudices and biases into a fundamental understanding that should exist in the heart and the mind of every human being, you obviously have an ulterior motive and a very dark agenda.
Absolutely.
Right? When you're actually trying to, like, these are children, and you are trying to make children seem as, well, it's okay if these children die. What is it about? What did these children do? What crime are they guilty of? What sin are they guilty of, to where now you are willing to introduce prejudices and biases into the hearts and minds of people to where they don't care if these children are suffering and they're dying? That is heinous.
It is.
It is horrific. This is terror. This is something now, as a child or as a young person, this is something to be terrified. When your elders, right, the adults on the planet right now, really don't have that much of a regard for you, to the point to where now they will even get you to believe or try to coerce you to believe that children of a different nationality or a different, complexion, religion, right? It's okay if these children die. I'm not okay if any children are dying.
You shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be.
But there are people don't see it like that, because we see children dying every day.
And I'm in Chicago, right? Chicago, New York. I'm bouncing to these, large cities, and the value for human life, just during my lifetime, has become so diminished that when you can see the addicts, the homeless, and basically the nightlife, the street life, right? When you see all of that out there. Now, granted, I'm not going to give everybody a free pass. Like, a lot of people put themselves into situations to end up, in want. Okay, let's put it that way, because there's a lot that they need, right? But at the same time, as a society, we got to realize that is a portion of who we are too. And that's the same thing with the prison systems, right? If you look at the numbers, how many people we have incarcerated in this country versus how many people are incarcerated in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Right?
We're number one.
We're number one. We top out everybody else collectively together.
Right.
So now what does that say about us when as a society, forget everything else, forget the politics, forget everything, but as a people, right, as a culture, what does that say about us when we're okay with children dying, or children being hungry, or children not being able to get medical attention? We're okay with, addicts, running rampant throughout our communities. We're okay with our prison systems overflowing and our criminal systems overflowing, the courts and what have you. We're okay with the education becoming diminished, and now we're dealing with Generation Alpha, and teachers are saying, like, these kids can't read.
That's right.
Like, what does that say about us and our priorities? Forget everybody else. There's no other country. Just forget it. Let's pretend like we are living in a vacuum and in isolation here in this country. Like, how in the world can we be okay with that? And there isn't, I personally have not been able to come up with a justifiable answer, right, that will actually relieve the tension that each and every one of us should be feeling regarding this matter right here. Is that those people who are in need in our society, whether they're elderly, they're sick, they're orphans, widows, young, whatever the case may be, refugees, it doesn't matter. These are people that are in need.
Right.
And when we are selfishly focused on our own personal situations and the next new gadget, right, or that vacation, or I want to buy a new this, so meaning the decadence and the love of luxury and convenience, and when we are trapped, and we've trapped ourselves in that mindset to the point that we have become blind to very real issues that are affecting us on a daily basis and are absolutely going to affect the world that we're leaving behind for our children. That is unconscionable.
It is. It's terrible. But, I mean, that is the mindset of the West. I know it's...
That's where education in Islam becomes an imperative.
I know, top priority.
Top priority.
And so that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, you mentioned all of these things, but there are many programs out there that people try to create to try to, eradicate some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But just boil it down to, let's say, an individual, because there are many people, like you're saying, in Chicago and different places, young men and women losing their lives every day. But take a person who is just down to nothing. He might have come from a bad background, a bad family environment, you name it. Whatever you can imagine, this person has been in it. How would you start initially trying to build this person back up with self-esteem, with potential, etc.? What was the first thing that you would try to do? It's just like a house that's down to the ground. What's the first thing that you would try to inject in this person's mentality?
I'm gonna change that word inject. I'm gonna say educate.
Education would be the first thing?
Yeah, because what's the issue? This person does not know, understand, comprehend how to process their current state.
Right.
Okay? So we need to equip this individual with the tools, the necessary tools that they can now process their past, present, and future. Once they have that, now we've got to talk about, like, who are you? We have to remember, people don't like being alone.
Right.
Today. They don't like silence today. And it's in those alone times and in those times of silence when you ask really important questions to yourself. Mm-hmm. And here's that question. Who are you? Now, I don't mean what's your name.
Right.
Meaning, who are you? Are you courageous or a coward? Are you generous or stingy? Are you forgiving or do you hold grudges? And the list goes on and on and on, right? Mm. Who are you and how are you? Meaning, like, as you are engaging with creation, animals, plants, people, doesn't matter. As you are engaging with creation, how are you with your demeanor, your character? How are you when you engage with creation? The creation of the Creator.
Right.
So these two questions right here, who are you and how are you? Initially, the answer, they're not going to like the answer, and that's okay. That's the starting point. Because when we're navigating, we always got to know two things. Without these two things, we can't navigate. We need to know where we're at, and we need to know where we're going. Now we can plot a course to get from point A to point B. So this question right here is just part A. Who are you? How are you? Let's have a discussion about that. Let's do some digging here. Let's do some mining. I'm telling you, there's rubies, there's emeralds, there's diamonds in that mine. I know all you see is the dirt right now, right? I know all you see is the dirt and the filth and the digging and the mud and carrying on. But I'm telling you, there's precious stones up in there. We just need to take some time, okay? And this is how we start. Who are you? How are you? Now, who do you want to be? And how do you want to be? Let's set the objective. Now let's talk about the educational process to get the individual from point A to point B. And part of that, is classroom stuff, theory stuff, actually sitting down, right? More of a formalized. But the biggest portion, I would dare say like 75, 80% of it has to do with practical application. So we're going to take a little bit of time. I'm going to give you a little bit of something, like we're going to work on this. Okay. And then from there, you're going to take this next week, 2 weeks, whatever, and actually practice and get acclimated with doing that thing. Right. And you're going to run into some challenges. And next time we sit, we're going to go over those. What challenges did you face? How did you deal with those challenges? And we'll actually engage in a discussion about how to refine that process. Right. So now they're getting education. They're getting experience. right? And they are developing. Now, after a relatively short period of time, I mean, literally within a month, 2 months, you can now take that individual, as long as they stay focused. That's the part that's completely out of our control. It's up to each individual. As long as they stay focused and they're resilient, okay, they will see the difference just in a month or two. Then you are now, so what most people, we got to break them out of a negative feedback loop. A negative feedback loop is think of it like this. Well, I get money, and then I spend my money on drugs, right? So now I'm broke again. Do you see what I'm saying? But I need drugs and I need money. So now I got to go steal something. So now to get the money. So now I got the money and I go get some drugs and now I'm broke again. So now I got to go steal something to get some money so I can get some drugs so I can be broke again. And that's a negative feedback loop. Okay, so now you caught, and there's so many different types of these, but it's a negative feedback loop, which is going to keep you spiraling downward. So what we've done just now is we've broken that negative feedback loop in just a month or two, and now we've introduced them into a positive feedback loop. So that first time where, a month or two down the road, when we get to look at them and say, look, do you realize how much you've changed? Look at this. This has changed. This has changed. This has changed. How you feel right now? How you feel about who you are now versus who you were a month or two ago? And now they start to, now they're encouraged. You know what? I can do this. Right? So that positivity is going to initiate. It's going to jumpstart that positive feedback loop. And if you can get them in that positive feedback loop and you can continue on with the education, the experience, and a lot of people call this mentoring, and that's fine. All right. Then it's amazing. And for me personally, as a mentor, I love watching people grow, develop, and change. I watch them this is where they were. Now this is where they're at. Before they were takers and they needed help. Now they are givers and they're providing help and assistance. And that's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to see.
So within all of that you described, you're also creating a new value system for this person, right?
Absolutely.
And the way he or she sees the world.
Yes. So the value system, first we have to understand what they think their value system is right now. Because a lot of people have value systems, but there is distortion within those value systems. So we need to understand what they think their value systems are and maybe engage in a discussion about that to clear up any distortion, right? Right. Then the other thing that you mentioned was in psychology, that's got a technical term, because they call it your cognitive framework. So your cognitive framework essentially, basically, it's the way that you view your perception of the world around you, your perception of yourself, and your perception of yourself within that world around you. And absolutely, that's as Muslims especially, this is number one priority.
And see, the only reason I mention that is because, to me, that's going to give some longevity to his growth.
Yes, because it's based on what we call aqidah, or theology, theosophy, and it's the explanation of truth and reality. So that's what we, as a Muslim, right? So it's the explanation of truth and reality. When I'm dealing with, academically in universities and professors and whatnot, then yes, theology, theosophy, creed, dogma, etc. Right? We're going to engage in an academic discussion. But for us, on a practical side, it's the explanation of truth and reality. Because a lot of what disturbs us in our lives is that we don't have that foundation of understanding why am I here? What's my purpose in life? What's going to happen to me when I die? These kind of what they call fundamental questions of human existence, right? But Islam, you get those answers. So there's no more confusion. There's no more guesswork. What's my purpose in life? You have been created. مَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Right? I have not created the jinn kind nor mankind except to engage in my worship. Right. That's the whole point of the human being.
Well, one thing I hear a lot from young people is, I didn't ask to be here. Why am I here? I didn't even ask to be here. So now if I do something wrong, I'm going to be punished for it. And I didn't even ask this. I didn't even ask for this. What's your response to that?
It's ingratitude.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, how would you respond?
Because you think about this, right? So, look, if I were to say, for instance, you know, you have these basketball games and whatnot, and, you know, they'll call a number or whatever, and somebody come try to take a shot from the half court line. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. And they give them an opportunity to whatever. You're going to win like whatever, $100,000.
Win your $1 million shot.
Yeah, whatever, right? Okay. So you go, you take your shot. Now, have you ever seen a situation where somebody was like, no, I don't want it. I don't want that shot. No, I'm good.
No, I haven't.
It's the one free shot. You can take it with, like, you could $100,000. Come on now. Yeah. Nah, I'm good. Nah, I might miss. So you look at it negatively, you're like, I could be punished. Well, yeah, but failure, okay, is just a part of life. The potential of failure is a part of life.
Right.
And it takes courage to actually strive and to overcome those failures and now achieve something which dominates the failures, right? Which outshines all of those failures. Right. So when you're talking about paradise, heaven, Jannah, whatever you want to call it, right, and the potential reward, then if you're focused on the potential reward then and making the necessary efforts to basically become a champion, right? Mm-hmm. It's the championship of life, okay?
Right.
Now, you could say, well, I ain't asked to be here. You know, it's kind of like, well, number one, you have been given an opportunity to achieve something that is beyond your comprehension. But instead of focusing on actually putting forth the effort to achieve it, you're complaining about the fact that you're here in the first place and you got to do the work, you got to do the grind. Right. And to me, it just kind of, and this is a personal opinion, it's not an Islamic opinion, it's a personal opinion. It just kind of like, it stinks of cowardice, laziness, right? A weakness, and a lack of understanding.
Well, you mostly hear that from kids who are struggling. You know, a lot of kids who are struggling, having some challenges and feeling left out.
That's a different thing, because basically now only thing they're doing is they're saying, I need hope. And I think that's a big issue right now. Young people, adults, senior citizens, it doesn't matter, all of us. Me too.
I make these prayers and nothing even happened.
Need hope.
You know?
Need hope.
And said if you do this 1 or 2 times, this will happen. And I do it, it didn't happen.
Well, okay, that's a different thing. That's a different thing. Because people think God is their slave.
Right.
That's a problem, right? I told, basically, what is it saying? I told God, I told the creator of the universe, this is what I want to happen. And he ain't do it. I don't understand.
Right.
Well, he's God, you're not.
Right.
He has all knowledge, you don't. He knows past, present, and future, you do not. He also knows whether or not that thing that you are asking for is actually beneficial for you or not.
Right.
He also knows whether or not he has something better for you coming than even what you asked for initially or not.
That's right.
So again, it all comes down to, you know, education. Because of the ignorance, because the primary issues of the human being that everything else is going to stem from is ignorance and arrogance.
That's right.
It's ignorance and arrogance. That's where it starts. And these two things in and of themselves are going back to what we were talking about earlier. They are a negative feedback loop, because your ignorance, okay, protects your arrogance. And then your arrogance is going to do what? It's going to protect your ignorance.
Right.
So now you're trapped. And the only way to break out of this trap, this negative feedback loop, is with humility and education.
Right. And you know, a lot of it, like you're saying, is hope. And, you know, sometimes my response to people that make these statements is that we don't know God's plan. He may have a bigger plan for you. We can't say what his plan is for you, but we know you're here. He's told us why you're here. And like you're saying, a lot of people do treat God like he's their personal slave. As soon as they make a prayer, they want results immediately. And if that don't happen, then why even pray?
Right.
You know, why even ask?
But they don't even ask. Here's the question. Are you doing what God wants? You are upset because God won't do what you want him to do.
Right.
At what point are you going to get upset at yourself for not doing what God wants you to do?
Mm-hmm.
And they said that correlation is not being made. That I have been disobedient, or I am, let's just say my arrogance and my ignorance, because now that's the whole of the human race, okay? Wow. My arrogance and my ignorance are now in my way. What I mean in my way, they're in the way of my relationship between me and my creator.
Right.
to the extent that now when I'm calling upon my Creator, there's a very strong possibility that my disobedience, my arrogance, and my ignorance are the barriers that are actually stopping me from getting the help that I need to get.
Stopping the blessings.
Stopping the blessings.
Right.
And that's a huge point. My mentor, his mentor told him, he's like, look, life is real simple. Get out of the way of the fadl of Allah. Where, and translates, it means get out of the way of the divine favor of God.
Right.
So God is, Allah is Ar-Rahman. He is merciful. He's compassionate. He is forgiving. He is magnanimous. He is Allah. He's the creator of the universe. He is perfect.
Right.
Beyond perfection, beyond comprehension.
Right.
Right? So why is it that we adopt this mentality that God is always trying to punish us, or he wants bad for us, or he's holding something back from us to hurt us? Or that's not God.
Right.
It's not him doing it, it's us doing it to ourselves.
That's right.
So it's kind of like, the water faucet. So the water faucet, we understand the water's always there. The water's always there. But I got to actually turn the faucet on for the water to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And then to cut the water off, I cut the faucet off. Mm-hmm. Now, some of us, we sitting there making dua and supplicating and talking to this faucet head, right?
Just looking at it.
Right? And it's like, you cut the water off. Would you blame it? Like, are you angry at the faucet because ain't no water coming out? And you the joker, you the silly man, to cut the faucet off.
Right, right.
So before you get heated, why don't you just cut the faucet on, right?
Right.
And just enjoy the blessing.
Right.
And so for us to cut the faucet on, we gotta make that effort. We gotta make the effort. We're not going to be perfect. We're human beings. Only God is perfect.
God does not change a people.
Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah does not change the condition. Undoubtedly, God does not change the condition of the people until they make an effort to change the condition of themselves.
Right.
So natijatu indallah. The result is with Allah, is with God.
Mm-hmm. The effort is with us.
The grind is with us.
Right.
And that's the thing that, because grind don't go with lazy.
That's right.
Grind don't go with convenience. Grind, subhanAllah, think about this. When we are focused, then we have a tendency to not just grow, but we have a tendency to start to realize our potential for growth. And that's part of that positive feedback loop, that now we're going to get this hope, because when we're actually thinking about what we're supposed to be doing with our lives, when we're thinking about the relationship that exists between, because there is a relationship. It may not be on good terms, but there's a relationship between each and every one of us and the creator of the universe. So when we actually, we have that hope, and now we are dealing with our arrogance and our ignorance, and now we are opening ourselves up, right, and our situations up to that divine favor, then how many times, think about this, how many times does it happen that favor only comes just to us? Mm-hmm. And how many times that it comes to us, but then our family members also benefit, our neighbors also benefit, our community members also benefit. So our own individual efforts produces a collective effort.
That's right.
So to change the world, I have to change myself.
Yeah, step by step.
Step by step.
Person by person, community by community.
And this is what's meant by loving for your brother what you love for yourself. I want you to be saved from the hellfire just like me. I want you to receive the divine favor of God just like me. I want you to be in eternal felicity, right? Just like me.
Yeah.
Right? And I want you to get the good things of this world just like me. And I want the same thing for your family that I want for my family. And it sounds wonderful and it sounds easy. But practically, to do it, that's a whole nother matter.
You got to put the work in.
You got to put the work in.
You got to put the work in. Some of my response is that, look, we're here. We've been created. You've been given guidance on how to live a life in order to be able to return back to your creator in a good position. Better than this life. I think some of the problem is that people only see this world. They don't see the value in the next life, or they see this world as this is it. They can't see beyond this world. And when you can't see beyond this world, when you've made this world your everything, yeah, then you have the failures, the anxiety, the depression, all of the. You don't have the hope. But if you believe in another world, another life after this life, to me that's what the hope is.
Yeah, because what ends up happening is they do believe it, but it's only the negative side, right? It's the potential for punishment. You'll find that a lot of people will believe in the potential for punishment. You even hear atheists and whatnot talking about, like, I know I'm going to hell, and like these types of crazy statements, and right? So the fear part of things, like they'll buy into that part, but not the good side.
Well, the good is what's giving you the hope, the motivation.
And the motivation,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But then the other thing is, and this is the dominant portion of it, the dominant portion of it is that people are become beguiled by sensory perception. Because we engage with this world based on sensory perception. It's what we see, taste, touch, hear, smell, right? Mm-hmm. And pleasure comes through senses, right? Mm-hmm. Pleasure comes through the physical body.
Right.
So whatever pleasure it is, negative or positive. You like good food? Well, you can't do it without taste, right?
That's right.
You see something beautiful, you can't do it without eyes. You hear something beautiful, you can't do it without ears, right? Even intimacy, physical intimacy, you still need a physical body for that, right?
Right.
So you need a physical form, and that physical form is the problem. Because that physical form is made from this world, it's associated with this world, it loves this world, and it can engage with this world. And we're thinking that this physical form is the end-all, be-all. And if we're not receiving those basically sensory fixes, okay, because we're addicts. That's what it all comes down to. Mm-hmm. We're a bunch of addicts. Every last one of us.
Oh, addicts.
Addicts. What is an addict?
Addict for what? This life?
What is an addict? An addict is somebody that now you have a dependency on something, okay, to where that dependency is now taking over your life. Okay? You can't function properly because of this dependency. You can't stop it either.
And we all are like that?
We're all like that.
In what way?
Okay, watch this. Some people are addicted to money. Some people are addicted to name and fame. Some people are addicted to video games. Some people are addicted to pornography. Some people are addicted to drugs.
Right.
Some people are addicted to power and influence. Some people are addicted to laziness. Some people are addicted to food. Some people, and it just goes on and on and on. Some people are addicted to killing.
But don't you think there's some people who live in moderation?
Yeah. Good Muslims.
Yeah, they're not addicted.
But they're addicts too. That's where we struggle. So otherwise you're talking about what's called...
we have these temptations. Is that what you mean?
Temptations is one thing. Is when you can't control the temptations, that's when the problem occurs. But you're still an addict.
That's the addiction.
So if you think about this, right? So when somebody says that they're an addict, is there ever a point where they tell you they're not an addict?
Well, I know their philosophy is that they're always going to be an addict.
Why?
Because they're always going to have that urge. They are just continually fighting against it.
So what's the difference? So you're saying, like, you're picking out a singular thing in this world, okay, that this person is addicted to. What I'm saying is that the world itself is full of things that we can become addicted to. And any one of those things is enough to destroy us. Any one of them.
Well, you can be addicted to prayer and charity.
No.
You cannot.
No, because remember the definition of addiction. It's taking control of your life, so now your life has become unmanageable.
Oh, unmanageable. Okay.
Okay, so it's controlling you. You're not controlling it.
So it has the negative connotation to addiction.
You are not in control.
Okay.
You are not in control. And then when you're talking about life now and purpose of life, so when my life is being spent based on basically feeding the senses, right? So you can say, recreation and entertainment. There's a part of that that's good, it's comfortable. I'm not talking about you got to become monks and sign up for a monastery or carrying on. We don't even have monasticism in us now.
Right.
Okay. Same thing for work. Why we go to work? Most people don't even like going to work.
Right.
They go to work because they need the money. They need the money. Why? Because I want a particular lifestyle. Now we start talking about lifestyle. Now there's a way I want to live. This kind of car I want to drive. This type of food I want to eat. Right?
Right.
We're right back to the senses again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But this world and the soul that is in the body, the physical body, is beyond the senses. It is actually what existed before this human form. We picked up the human form when we entered into this world, into the womb, in the womb of the mother. But we existed prior to that form.
Right.
We will exist even after this form. So it is that limited, very tunnel vision type of perspective that you were mentioning, right, regarding our existence in totality. So when I'm thinking that my life in this world is the totality of my existence with maybe the possibility of something happening after I die. The only part of it that I actually recognize is the negative part, because none of us like to be punished, okay? And now you've got your package. So now the person is actually out there, not just a person, all the people. They're out there just trying to do what? The vast majority of them, it's all about sensory perception. It's all about your physical form in this world. And that's where things become truncated. Now we can't see the broader perspective of our existence. And then that broader perspective, we get hope from before, and we get hope during, and we get hope for the after.
Right.
And this is the part that we've got to kind of turn the volume down and reduce the importance of sensory pleasures, so that way we can actually turn the volume up on spiritual pleasures and spiritual development. And once that person gets that, then they'll realize that all the other pleasures pale in comparison. It just pales in comparison. Having contentment in your heart and having a peace of mind and feeling a degree of satisfaction, and I'm okay. I'm good with God. I'm in my struggle. I'm grinding, right? But at the same time, I see that Allah is causing me to grow, and I'm going to keep grinding. And then when this thing called life in this world is over, then it's over. Now, when you are in that mode and you feel and you're witnessing and you're experiencing that fadl that we were talking about, that divine favor, all the sensory pleasures, they pale. It just becomes very generic. It becomes one-dimensional, because divine favor, that is beyond a dimensional experience. That is something that you can't even articulate it. It is something that, the reality of it only exists between the individual and the Creator.
And that's when the person becomes grateful.
Bingo. All day long.
Yeah.
All day long. And that's where we want to get to. We want to get to the point where we learn how to love God the way that He deserves to be loved. And part of that love is recognizing how dependent we are on Him, how blessed we are on a daily basis. There's an ayah of Quran, وَإِن تَعَدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. If you were to try to count all the blessings of God that you're receiving, okay,
right.
You're not going to be able to count them.
Right.
But that's okay, because He is what? He is the most forgiving. He's the most merciful.
Right.
So we're receiving so many blessings that we can't even count them.
That's right.
But yet we're still always focused on what we don't have, not what we do have.
Right.
So when we focus on what we don't have, that means, and we're not recognizing what we do have, that's ingratitude.
Absolutely.
That's ingratitude. And when we're saying we want more, I want more, I want more, it's like it's kind of like your plate's full, and you haven't recognized and gotten the benefit from the food on your plate.
Right.
And you already look, asking about dessert or want to go get another plate.
Back in the kitchen.
Yeah, back in the kitchen, right? What do you say? Your eyes bigger than your stomach. So, yeah.
Okay, we running out of time here. Got maybe like 2 minutes. I just want to say our brother here will be with us the whole month of December, maybe some of January. And I think he's going to be back on the radio here with us maybe next week if we can. Going to give me a little flexibility here to move around a little bit. And he will be giving the Friday speech this Friday, 1410 Cemetery Avenue at 1:45 p.m. He will be giving the speech there. So if anyone would like a copy of our broadcast today, just text me 706-459-1010, and I will ship a CD to your door. So again, Imam Khalid, appreciate you coming today. May Allah accept from us the best of our deeds, inshallah.
Ameen. Jazakallah khairan jazak. May Allah Ta'ala reward you. May Allah bless all the listeners. I really appreciate the honor and privilege of you giving us your time and your energy and your attention.
Thank you. Until next week, we leave you with the greetings of peace of Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
You have been listening to the Understanding Islam Show. If you would like a free Quran, a copy of this broadcast, or any Islamic literature, please call 706-459-1010 or email us at understandingislam411@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to the Understanding Islam Show.